Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, that's great. So I think we can get started with this session. Madhusmita, you can go ahead with your introduction.
Yeah, thank you. So, a very good evening to one and all present here. It is my delight pleasure to welcome you all to this exciting session on DevOps and Fundamentals on AWS, organized as a part of our Placement Empowerment Program under the Cloud Computing and DevOps Center. This event is a testament to our commitment to providing valuable learning opportunities that bridge the gap between the academic knowledge and the real world industrial practices. As technologies continue to evolve, staying updated with latest tools methodologies is very essential for anyone looking to build a successful career in DevOps space. Through this session, we empower you with an opportunity to interact, gain clarity, and build connections with like minded individuals who share a passion for technology. To make this session even more insightful, we honored be with Mr. Guang sir with us today. He is an AWS community builder from Philippines and a machine learning security in bringing you with his extensive experience in cloud computing, automation, and securities. His passion for technology and knowledge sharing makes him the perfect speaker to guide us through today's session. This session will be highly engaging with a mix of expert insights. We encourage you all to participate actively, ask questions, and take advantage of this opportunity to learn from this industrial expert. With this, I once again welcome you all, and with no further delay, let's move forward with today's session.
all right. Thank you, Madhu. All right. Okay, let me just share my screen a bit. So, how many of you here are students? Can I have a raise hand? How many of you here are students? Okay, so almost all of you are students here. Okay, so I think there aren't any. Okay, I think most of you are students here. All right. So without further ado, let's start. So my name is Isaeus or Guiang, and currently I'm a machine learning intern and technical content community intern at the company Tutorials Dojo. All right. So I'm also like Diana. I'm also a cloud club captain, but in our model in the Philippines, I am the regional cloud club captain. Basically, I'm the country lead and monitoring all the cloud clubs, university clubs, in my country. Okay, and then recently got accepted in AWS Community Builder, focusing on content delivery and networking. Okay, so more about me is what I do. I love cloud computing initiatives, and I always mentor students a lot. Okay, and whether it's online and whether it's call, usually students set a schedule with me on whatever when they lost on their career path. And I've been an instructor as well during the uh, 2023 to 2024, and I'm also one of the cybersecurity intern as well on the largest telecommunication company here in the Philippines. And part of that, if you all know, I don't know if you are familiar with the AWS user group. So in each country, just like AWS Cloud Clubs, they have a local AWS user group community near you. Okay, so I do believe they have AWS user group India there. But here in the Philippines, AWS user group, the professional people and the student user group are well versed. Okay, we're highly coordinated and we really have a strong relationship with them. So with that, I'm also part of their core team, the AWS user group, and I've also been an advocate for like 3 years now. So these places are just local here in the Philippines, but I really love to travel. And if you want to connect with me, I'm more active on LinkedIn, but you can connect with me on Facebook as well. All right. So for today's session, I'm not just going to talk, but most often I need your guys to participate with me. Okay. I also have an incentive as well to those people who reside. Uh, if you go to the tutorialsdojo.com, so tutorialsdojo.com is more like a Udemy as well. But yeah, Tutorials Dojo is more on it's a Filipino product. Okay, launched on 10 years ago. Okay, but we do courses there as well, and we do have practice exam. So the the later on in this session, I will call a few students, or I will let you recite on some aspect, and then when you recite, just uh, put your email here on the comment section on the comment section so that I can provide you some premium access in Tutorials Dojo. Okay, so Tutorials Dojo has courses as well in which you can learn DevOps skills more practically here. Okay, all right. Without further ado, let's start. So for the first recitation, all right. So what are the application or games that you usually play? Okay, so for example, I don't know what are the games there in India, or what are the trends there in India. But here in the ASEAN, we are always playing MOBA. So the Mobile Legends, we also play a lot of Valorant. Okay, some I don't know what genre that call, but more on I won't call it RPG, but more with dealing with guns. Okay, so what are the application or games that you usually play, and describe the nature of that application, and how often they do update. Okay, can we call on somebody? Yeah, can we have Kabilesh Kumar? Yeah, I understand that there might be some English, there might be some language barrier here. Okay, so it's okay that if you're not fluent. A lot of Filipino students as well is not fluent in speaking in English, and we are umbrella accustomed to that. All right, no one, no one will participate. How about um, Thomas Albert, Ivan?
Hello there.
Oh, hi. Okay, so what are the application that you usually play? That, and how often do they update?
I usually play Valorant. Actually,
Valorant.
yep.
Wow. Okay, so Valorant is trendy there as well in India.
Yep.
And how often do they
Also,
update?
famous. Play like for 2 to 3 hours. Some days.
Oh, some days. All right. So
Yeah.
whenever you open this application, most often like 2 to 3 days after, they're going to update it all over again. Correct?
Yep.
All right. So I don't know what are in the financial services, right? I don't know uh, what are some finance application you got there in India. But here in the Philippines, we have the GCash. So GCash is a financial technology here in the Philippines, and we usually use that application for financial transaction. Okay, for cashless. Okay, cashless financial
Okay.
transaction. So, oh, it's a, you may mute your mic now, Thomas.
Okay.
All right. So please drop your email on the comment section, and then I'll go into we'll talk later. All right. I'll send you an email, and then I'll let you pick whatever courses that you want in Tutorials Dojo. Okay. For free. All right. So
Thank you.
for yeah, no worries. So the more opportunities, the more you recite, the more courses that you're going to have here. All right.
Actually, I
So
prepared for CLF using that tutorial dojos. I use that cheat sheet,
wow. Uh,
So
did
okay.
you pass?
Yeah, I passed. I got
Congratulations.
807. Thanks a lot.
All right. Let me know if you're aiming for more. If you don't want courses, I can also provide you the practice exam instead. Okay.
Sure, man. Sure.
All right.
Contact
So
me.
just let me know. Just pick one there, and then I'll send you I'll send you all an email here. Please drop your email here. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Thomas. All right. Anyway, so team, in the financial services, right, continuous upgrading and continuous updating of our application is very important so that we can patch all the security vulnerabilities. All right. But most often in the real world, in the industry, okay, they were going to take 20 years back. All right. They're not as that aggressive in updating their application. Hence, there's a lot of security vulnerabilities back then. Okay. So though most often in the games or in the gaming industry, most people are DevOps there. All right. So later you will know why is it very trendy. And if you're really into the games, right? And if you're really into if you really want if you really want to work with an application who is always continue to deploy and always continuing to update, might be DevOps is for you. Okay. So first of all, there is a wall of confusion about between a developer and an operations back then. Okay. So 20 years pass, or whatever, if it's 20 years or 40 years, or in the traditional IT, being a developer and operations is a different profession. Okay, so DevOps isn't just about the question of tools or mastering of a certain application, but DevOps is actually a bridge of the gap happening 20 years ago or 30 years ago in the industry. Okay, so the problem comes from the fact that developers and operators, although while they both are required in the corporation back then, with the large IT departments, they have completely different objectives. The difference of these objectives between developers and operators is called the wall of confusion. And we'll see later precisely what that means and why is it considered something big and something really bad. All right? In the traditional IT, when we say a developer, this is the application development. Okay, so for example, what are the skills of the developer? You know the front end, you know the back end, and something you know the database of this. Okay, so for the skills of the front end, you need the CSS, HTML, C++, right, JavaScript, etc. So a developer's role is to create an application, and that's it. All right, like for example, if we're in the school project, right? When we develop an application and it's working in our side, we do not care if it's going to work in someone else's devices, because we're only creating an application for the sake of creating, or for the sake of compliance in our professors. All right, most often that's the case. I don't know if that's the case in your in your university, but most often that's it. For example, when there's a programming assignment, right? Most often we're just gonna develop stuff just for the sake of compliance. All right, and that's exactly what's the thinking of a developer is. A developer is creating application. That's it. All right. Although this varies from organization to organization and this time of day, but back then that's the meaning of a developer is. All right. And then when we say operations in the traditional IT, this is the support, the disaster recovery, the update, the maintenance, the system administration, etc. Okay. So when the developer, for example, we're in the same company, when a developer finish the application, okay, it is in the it's in the responsibility now of the operators, okay, that to maintain it. All right. So for example, back then when developer finished already the application of the certain company, the ones who's going to continue the survivability of that application resides to the job of the operations. Okay, for example, the maintenance, the database, etc. Okay, so what is the problem? All right, so mostly for historical reasons, operators come from the hardware and telecommunication business most often, and operators are not attached to the same branch than developers. So a developer in an operations is a completely different team, right? So the dev team can consist of different senior developer, right? A project manager, application architect, etc., etc. But the operations department comes with completely different profession. There's the system administration, the IT support, right? The QA, the quality assurance, cybersecurity, etc. All right, they are completely different teams, right? Most often, the developers belong to the research and development, while operators comes to belong in the infrastructure department, or dedicated entirely for operation or the survivability or the continuity of the application. Okay, so what happens, like for example, some scenarios back then, when a developer push a product, right, in the product, push an application in the production, right, and then the operations teams are not aware with this, that they're going to deploy it already in the production where users can access it. That's where the problem clash. There is a lack of consistent communication on that part. Okay, because it's a very large organization, right? And it's a very bureaucratic. When we say bureaucratic, there's a lot of phases and stages before you can actually deploy your product, and that is slow, and that is most often when you're back then when you're in the market, when you're slow in deploying your application, you're already falling behind. Okay, that's why developers are pressured back then to deploy the product, even though the operations team aren't ready. Okay, so there's a clash there. More problem there is that most often the operations team, right, their responsibility isn't really about the continuity or the survivability of the application anymore. Okay, because the idea of having operations department is that to make sure that the application continues to live on, even those to the users, because the developer team did not care if it's going to work or not. All right, but that's the operations responsibility. Okay, but almost 50% back then, that the production teams, right, the deployment of the production teams, 50% of the workload of the operations is fixing the deployment, right? So it's not really in there. It isn't really. It's just the peak of an iceberg of their responsibility, but most often that takes up a lot of their time. So they actually doing the deploy. They are either actually doing the deployment, right, or they are fixing the problems. Whereas it should have been the developer. There's a lack of communication back then. I think that is still happening now, all right. In some industry, that is why some of them are doing migration already. All right. I think a lot of industry, at least here in the Philippines, my echo chambers here is in the Philippines. A lot of them are doing migrations already. Therefore, they really want to hire. They really want to hire professionals who are knowledgeable in their restructuring of their department, because they're trying to bridge that gap. Okay, and it's not easy to migrate. All right, so that is why there are solutions architect, etc., etc. All right, so for them to bridge that gap, they have the developer plus operations, which is the DevOps. All right, the need of DevOps is for them to have a modern software delivery. Okay, so although some industry there is their, what they call this, they have different organizational structure. Okay, doesn't mean that they don't have devs or DevOps. Doesn't mean they're not modern software delivery. All right, so it's a completely different that's a completely different discussion. But most often DevOps, right, here in the Philippines, a lot of the projects in the public sector or in the government, for example, a modernization project is handled by DevOps. Why? Because this will enable enable to have a faster release of software, more reliability, and more quality. Okay, why does it have more reliability, more quality? Because it emphasizes the automation, it emphasizes collaboration, and continuous improvement. All right. And then the technological landscape right now, right? It's really big. Okay. It's really big. And most often they are scarce in that profession. All right. Because for me in IT, you're not the abundance of opportunity there is endless because as long as we are evolving, right? As long as the applications are becoming more complex, as long as the application is becoming more harder to operate, we need DevOps for that. But the problem is, right, the skills shortage. Okay. So some benefits of having a modernized application is that you have a faster time to market. Okay, so in back in the days, you have two departments, right? The paper or the application, the they are bridging two departments. Okay, not to mention they also have a product manager in each department that would prolong the application's deployment. Okay, so that is why we have these DevOps to have a faster time to market this application. All right. So back in a day, although you're not going to realize this now, the market was cloud. For example, if we're going to be in 2006 to 2015, let's say that, okay, the market was cloud. And when your application or when your organization back then is in cloud, you're on top of the market already. Why? Because you have these product benefits. All right, you have more faster time to market. All right, you are more cost efficient, and you are most likely have more scalability and flexibility in your application. And most often, those people who has cloud computing integration in their application, they have higher customer satisfaction. Okay, why? Because of course, I'm not going to discuss more about the benefits of cloud, but when your application, right, is very agile, most often you reach faster to your users. Okay. So before we go, the SDLC, right? Does someone here knows what SDLC is? You may raise your hand. And when you raise your hand, okay, Shakunt. It doesn't have to be Google definition, right? It's just your own words. What does it mean when we say software development lifecycle? Yeah, sure, Shakunt. Shakunt, right? Shakunt.
So am I audible?
Yeah, yes, you're audible.
So software development life cycle, I will define in the simple terms of metamorphosis of a butterfly, as it changes from caterpillar to butterfly. So you just take a software and you develop it continuously. For a butterfly, it is only one cycle, but for a software, it is like multiple cycle until you reach the requisites defined by the customer, or you reach the final product. That is my definition.
Yeah, I haven't heard to any of my students that they defined SDLC as butterfly. That's really good. I haven't heard any of that. Okay, thank you, Shakunt. Can you provide your email here in the comment section?
Sure.
All right. Who else has any idea or own definition about SDLC? All right. Sai Siva.
Yeah, good evening. Am I audible?
Good evening. Yes, you're audible.
Yeah, basically, what I think is that in order to develop a product, we have to start from the scratch, and until we have to test it, and we have to bring it as a complete product and not a prototype, right? So in order to do that, we have to there are few steps to solve a problem. Like it may be even a simplest of a problem, but it has few life cycle or it has few steps, right? So we have to follow those steps in order to bring a finalized and a finished product, and we have to like satisfy the needs of the customer. So in order to do that, we follow the software development life cycle, right? So according to me, that's software
All
development.
right. Thank you, Sai Siva. So,
Thank you.
according to Sai, can I call you Sai?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Okay. So, according to Sai, it's a step, right? I would like to call this ladderize as well, right? So when we say ladderize, there's a certain procedure, and there's a certain best practices. Asai, can you put your email on the comment section too?
Sure.
There's
Thank you.
okay. Thank you. There's a certain procedure for you and best practices for you to follow, right? To achieve, just like everyone said, the two of them said here, the business requirements or the client requirements of your application. All right. So these are methodologies or outlines, okay, for you to have a successful software development process, and you can assign and complete and measure. All right. So most often the traditional SDLC is this one, the waterfall. As you can see, the behavior of the waterfall is going down, right? So you cannot go up because of the gravity, right? So most often the behavior of the water cycle or the waterfall continuously, it's going down, right? So in SDLC or in the SDLC waterfall, when we say sequential and linear, you cannot you cannot go back, right? You cannot go back because it says to be linear, and you cannot jump to one stage to another and skipping the other stage. That's the definition of the waterfall. All right. So in SDLC, in the waterfall, we have the first SDLC there called requirement gathering analysis. All right. So what in this life cycle or in this stage, developers, right, gather all the project requirements. All right. Someone opened their camera. All right, never mind. So in this stage, okay, it just closed. Okay, in this stage, all application, the developers, they study the project requirements of the software, especially the specification of the specification of each document. All right. In the second one, the system design, they have the architecture, the application architecture of the application, and the third one is actually implementing it, the coding and development. And the fourth one is that the software is tested for defects, bugs. This one is the QA. All right. So for example, from 1 to 3, from one department, okay, by the time that they get to step 4, 5, and 6, it's a different department now. So it's a long procurement stages and methodology in development. Okay. So when we say maintenance, So when we say maintenance, that is the collective and adaptive and performative response on how you're going to continue the survivability and the usability of your application. Okay. So most often, right, by the time that the maintenance that you see the bugs now, right, the users see that there's a problem here, etc., then they're going back from the start, right? From the term sequential and linear, when we say waterfall, when there's a certain bugs that needs to be fixed in the production or in the users, right, they need to go from the start all over again. They need to go through they need to go through again with the development, right? The requirements, the analysis, the system design, and the implementation and coding. And then back again, testing, deployment, and maintenance. And then once they fix the bugs together, they're going to update it. And once there's an update, there's going to be feedbacks again. And now they're going back to number 1, etc., etc. Okay, so on and so on and so on and so on. and so forth. So that's a very long, hard, right, procurement. All right. So the advantages of this one is that it's simple to understand and manage, and each phase has specific deliverables and structures. But the disadvantage is that it is inflexible. Changes are hard to accommodate once development starts. And it has a very slow feedback cycle. And this one is not really suitable for gaming industry. Because in the gaming industry, there's need to be a continuous integration and deployment. All right. So when you're going to use waterfall model or a waterfall SDLC, most often these are for the government, right, or for the space agency. When your application has a very strict regulatory compliance, you need to conduct this kind of SDLC. And as for the agile, right? So the agile does not follow a strict phase-based structure like waterfall. So as you can see, the word here, or the word that I let me just laser point there. The word that that I highlighted there is the iteration and the incrementation. All right. So when okay, let me just turn off the okay. So iterative and incremental approaches in the software development emphasizes flexibility, collaboration, and the continuous improvement and update. So unlike waterfall, right, this SDLC or the agile allows you for changes throughout the development process and it delivers software in small and usable increments. Okay, so unlike in SDLC, right, when there's an update, they're going to be in here, right, in the developer department down to the operations department. Okay, and then right away they're going to deploy the update of the application. But in Agile, SDLC Agile is the one that DevOps practice, not the waterfall. Because SDLC promotes the SDLC promotes Scrum. When we say Scrum, it uses sprints, right? When we say sprints, most often the production is in 2 to 4 weeks. That's how fast Agile is, right? So it's really flexible and adaptive and faster delivery. And it has higher customer satisfaction because it has continuous feedback, ensures the product meets real needs. Okay, so the soonest that the application receives a feedback, they increment that feedback, right there and there. They're not going to go to the long procurement cycle anymore longer. So they can update whenever they want, etc. So as you can see in your games, right, they continuously updating, right? They are not really that stagnant, especially to the competitive games like Valorant. They patch and patch and patch and patch and patch. Okay, when there's a bug, they patch it. When there's a, for example, there's an OP character that need to be nerfed, they can easily just patch that, right? That's how fast Agile is. But the disadvantage of this one, it has less predictability. Since changes happen too frequently, estimating the total time and costs can be really difficult. All right, and then this one really requires a very, very close collaboration. So this one, the SDLC Agile will not work when you have 2 departments working on a certain product. It has to be one. That is why DevOps practice this. Okay, so one of the DevOps, these are the DevOps principle, is the collaboration and communication. So the collaboration and communication, as you can see, they only have one life cycle, right? They have the code, plan, monitor, deploy, release, test, build. Okay, and then they can increment that over and over again without dealing with the long methodological procurement. All right, so This principle ensures that all the stakeholders, when we say stakeholders, work together throughout the software development lifecycle. When we say stakeholders, it isn't just about the developers anymore, right? The feedback of the users is highly relevant. Okay, so that is why most often in the gaming industry, I don't know if you noticed this, but this is kind of annoying as well. They are they really love to do feedback forms, right? So there's customer service already. When you finish the game, they have feedback there, etc., etc. Because that is the overall SDLC agile of DevOps. Okay, so the other principle of DevOps is automation. All right, can someone read this for me? What is automation? And when they read, what is their understanding? Okay, Nanta Krishnan. And you just raise your hand, Jefferson, and you'll be next in the next participation. Okay.
Automation is the backbone of DevOps, minimizing manual effort and human error while increasing efficiency, consistency, and speed.
All right. From the definition, automation, what does it mean?
So automation is for DevOps, it is a backbone where it reduces the manual effort as well as the human error, and by the way, it will increase the efficiency, consistency, and speed.
Why is automation important? Like not just in application, but in the industry there. What does automation addresses? Nanta Krishnan. What do you think? In your own words.
Like once again,
can you define what does automation addresses? Why do we need automation? Why is it very important?
Minimize the manual effort as well as the human error. So we need that.
Does it mean when there's more automation, does it mean less human error?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Can you put your email there, Nantash? Okay. I think Gautam has a different opinion. All right, Gautam.
In simple words, we can reduce human. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, audible.
In simple words, we can reduce human. So if they take more missions, we don't need to give salaries to employees. So it will be easy.
All right. Okay, that's kind of dark, but that's a reality of the industry on why we do automation. Thank you for that, Gautam, and thank you for that, Nanta. Okay, can you put your email, Gautam, on the comment section? Yes. All right. So there's a need of automation, right? Because we want to break the silos between development and operation in other teams to ensure seamless workflows and faster issue resolution. There's a hysteria right now that the current developers, as of now, right, that they will get replaced by AI. Do you believe that that developers will be replaced by AI? How about let me check the. All right, okay. I think I will get back to you, Shakun and Sai. Let's have Prajwal.
Actually, sir, automation is a critical at DevOps because it enhances efficiency, reliability, and scalability across the software development lifecycle.
Okay, that's the definition of automation, right? But do you believe that the developers will get replaced by AI eventually?
I don't think so. No.
You don't think so?
All right. Yeah, sir.
Okay. Can you put your email on the comment section?
Yeah, sure, sir. Sure.
Okay. In my own personal opinion, we will not get replaced. Right? But most often, the hysteria now is that you will get replaced by AI, but that's not the point. Okay? We will get replaced by someone who uses AI. That's my opinion on that part. Because back then, like for example, the industrial in the industrial market, there's an hysteria back then as well that robots or machinists, right, mechanical engineers will replace common laborers. Did they get replaced now? No, right? But they got replaced by people who knows how to use these machinery tools. Like for example, in agriculture, right? In agriculture, some farmers are not well equipped or they do not know how to use a certain tools, technological tools, for them to automate and to make their agricultural responsibilities faster and better and efficient. They did not get replaced, but often they adapted to the tools. So as software development evolves, DevOps evolves, right? Most often, the one that got replaced are the one that cannot keep up or do not want to keep up. All right, that are resistant to change. And there's automation already for you to make your application much more faster. All right, and it's true that it will reduce the human error. Okay, so when someone is telling you that you will get replaced by AI, it's not true, right? But I would like to say that the developers right now all around the world get more powerful because of this technological advancement, right? I do believe information in our industry we can adapt much more faster, right? If the farmers, right, and the laborers can adapt to these technological tools, how much more to us students who are already much more well versed in the technological investment and tools. So that's the principle that we need to um, to integrate, right? The soft skill that your view of automation should be leading forward and should be our principle of our thinking as DevOps, right? Or our thinking as people in technology. We shouldn't have a mindset that we get replaced. Because mind you, we're already in the first on the line, right? That they know the trend already of what's happening in this technological trends industry. And we have the advantage, right, to equip ourselves as early as now. You have the advantage, you students, to equip yourself as early as now. All right? This collaboration and communication principle, you can already adopt this. Right? This principle, you can already adopt this in your schoolworks, etc. But your mindset and view about automation, your mindset and view about AI, you really need to fix it. All right? So that's one of my advocacy here in the Philippines, to eradicate the hysteria or to eradicate the fear of students that they'll get replaced. But rather, I encourage them to adapt, to explore, and of course, to have continuous improvement. All right? So, in the third principle that I want you to integrate as a future DevOps is that you need to be able to receive constructive feedback. Because once you're in the industry now, you will get a lot of feedbacks. Okay, so this principle of DevOps principle enables you to have a real-time monitoring, testing, and user feedback. That is why in the first one, I already said there that this principle ensures all the stakeholders are working together. That includes the users, right? Their continuous feedback and improvement matter That's why there's a lot of forum, there's a lot of survey, especially in the gaming industry. Okay, because your feedback really matters. And then the last principle is that the shared responsibility, we create as one now. There is no divide anymore in DevOps principle that when I build an application, right, I do not care if this is going to work or not in my end users. Okay, so when we're coding in our application, we need to have a shared responsibility thinking that we're not alone, or we're not just thinking of ourselves anymore in working this product, right? Because unlike traditional IT models where development operations are distinct in responsibilities, you as DevOps, you promote a culture of a shared responsibility of a life cycle. Okay, so that is why you create as one. You become more empathetic on your users if there's going to if they're able to access this application or not. All right. So when all that being said, what is the difference between a software engineer and a DevOps? Okay, so a software engineer, this builds the application that meets the business requirements. Okay, like for example, a software engineer, actually this varies from company to organization, but most often software engineers they do consider the client in their building the application because they also have SDLC on their own. All right, but most often, right, the comparison here is the focus is automation in DevOps, right? So if you are someone who enjoys coding, developing application, algorithm, you're on to software engineering. But if you're to someone who enjoys automation, cloud computing, right, and deployment pipelines or the agile SDLC, you're on to DevOps engineering. But most often, software engineers are DevOps as well. How? Because DevOps is not actually a role. All right, it's actually a culture and a practice. You can be a software engineer practicing DevOps. You can be a system administration practicing DevOps. You can be a database manager practicing DevOps, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so DevOps is not actually a professional role, but it's a culture or gap, all right, for you to integrate as part of your practices. Like for example, I'm a software engineer, but in my code, right, I actually use automation. I optimize the code already. I make sure the lines are not too long. The lines of my code are not too long. So that is the DevOps culture. All right. So in this principle, if you really want to get into DevOps, you need to have this. All right. The thinking of your forward thinking about automation, your communication skills, it's very important. Your ability to receive constructive criticism, and of course, your empathy on your users, and of course to your colleague as well. All right. So these are some of the DevOps core practices. Okay. So the first one is the wait. Give me 2 minutes. All right. Okay. So for this one, when we say continuous integration and continuous deployment, can they have? Hmm. All right, Jefferson. Can you read and what are your thoughts about this one?
Oh, I should read it.
Yeah, you should you read. and then your thoughts.
CI/CD creates a streamlined software deployment pipeline that automates testing and deployment, offering several key benefits. Benefits are faster delivery, higher quality, reduced risk, consistency, developer productivity, faster feedback.
All right. So, what are your understanding in that practice?
So, we just saw about automation before. So, this is a kind of tool which is used for performing automation so that the delivery and quality uh, is improved and the risks are reduced.
Wait, I'm sorry.
We just saw about automation before. So, this is a tool which we are using in DevOps to perform automation so that we get a better outcome.
Okay. So, based on can you put your email on the comment section? And thank you.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Jefferson. All right. So, in this part, when we say CI/CD, okay, this is the continuous integration and continuous deployment. This is actually a practice now. All right. So we do this to have a faster delivery because this CI/CD is a practice inside the SDLC of Agile. Okay, you cannot do Agile without practicing this one. Okay, so we use this for faster delivery, higher quality, because when we say higher quality, because we actually saw the bugs earlier than anticipated. We reduce the risk because we have incremental changes and minimize deployment failures, and we have standardization in our application. That creates consistency. Okay, and then the developer productivity, of course, when there's automation, it frees developers from repetitive tasks. Okay, so they can focus on somewhere else because they can already automate and they have certain templates on how they're going to deploy their products. So these are some of the CI/CD tools that we use. Okay, I personally use Jenkins as well when my time as an intern as security risk in Globe or the telecommunication company that I've interned into. So it's an open source automation server with a lot and extensive plugs in ecosystem. Okay, it is really highly customizable, and it supports different pipelines. Right, it can be hosted so that you can have control over your application. All right, so Jenkins, again, it's an automation server. Okay, and GitHub, of course, GitHub is a repository, and a GitHub action has a lot of seamless integration with, of course, with alongside with your code, right? The workflow and the solution integrated with different repositories there. And when we say GitLab, right? So GitLab, this is actually a platform for unified experiences. It in DevOps, it features pre-configured CI/CD pipelines already, right? So when we say CI/CD, right, this is the streamline on how you're going to develop your application. Okay, so when we say a streamline, it's a line. Okay, and these are the tools to make your incrementing updates and deployment when you have incremented those updates much more faster, and you can use these tools. All right. So personally, I haven't used code pipeline yet, but most often it use this to have a seamless deployment on your AWS. So this one is more on the cloud services now. Okay, so most often I don't use this too because these three already, the Jenkins, the GitHub, and the GitLab are free to use already. And AWS Code Pipeline has a pay-as-you-go pricing model. So we have as well the infrastructure as code. So can someone read what is infrastructure as code? Mahendra.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Yep, I'll get it. Infrastructure as code is an approach to infrastructure management where you define and provision your infrastructure using code and configuration files rather than manual processes. They are declarative configuration, version control, repeatability, and automation.
So what's your understanding about infrastructure as code?
Um, So I believe you build an infrastructure through coding where you make a repetitive cycle of where you declare the configuration and version control and you keep on repeating as an automation model, I guess. Is that
Okay, so yeah, actually that's a very good answer. I think we have more opinion about. All right, Siva Kumar, can you put your name? Have you put your? Oh yeah, just put your email there. So that I can see who are will be the one who has two courses. Okay, can I have Siva Kumar?
Yeah, it allows you to uh, deploy infrastructure as code where you can modify the infrastructure on how you deploy by just simply modifying the code, and it's also repeatable with may by like you can use the same code in multiple places to deploy the same resources again and again, and it makes the automation process also easier. And by changing the code just a little bit, it allows you to have multiple versions. It allows you to have multiple versions of the infrastructure, and it also makes it easier to configure if you have the base knowledge of it.
Right. Okay, thank you for that, Siva Kumar. Can you put your name? Can you put your email
Yeah, sure. Thank
on?
you.
All right. Okay. So based on this one, is the GIF is playing? The GIF is playing, right? Can you have a thumbs
Yes,
up if
sir.
it play? All right. Thank you for that, Nanta. All right. So as you can see, do you know this anime, Jujutsu Kaisen? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Some of you knows this. Good. So when we say this one is Megumi, right? Okay. So as you can see, when he put a certain sign language in his hands, there's a curse summoning, which is the elephant there. All right. So think of our infrastructure as code. Okay. So for example, you have already a piece of a paper there. All right. And when you recite it, there's going to be a demon summoning in front of you. Okay. So that's exactly what is infrastructure of code is. Okay. When you have already a streamline of code in front of you, when you deploy that, you can actually have an infrastructure now in your environment. So that's how powerful infrastructure as code practice is in DevOps, right? Because they do not as you can see here, right? They're they're really into consistency, right? And they're really into developer productivity in CI/CD practices, right? And infrastructure as code allows them, all right, to have a declarative configuration to predefine the desired state of their infrastructure rather than step by step and repeatedly coding their infrastructure. Okay, so the repeatability and the version control of this infrastructure, right? It will eliminates the manual configuration step and steps and human error. So as you can see in this practice, this is already the automation part. Okay, and so these are the tools that we use in in infrastructure as code. Okay, so as you can see here, this is Terraform. In this one, this platform is actually can have you a templated infrastructure as code. All right, so that you can deploy it whether in your AWS or different um, cloud environments that you have. All right, we also have AWS Cloud Formation, and I use that as well as infrastructure as code. And one of the practices here as well in DevOps is you need to ensure observability in your application. Okay, so when we say observability, okay, this is a proactive monitoring. When you say proactive monitoring, right, you are really alert to prevent outages, right, to reduce MTTR, or when we say MTTR, is mean time to resolution. All right, or this is the time that you're going to fix the bugs, right? And of course, it optimizes performance. So that is why in DevOps, when you're a software engineer practicing DevOps, most often, as you can see in their code is really neat, and their code is really they try to make it short as possible, because that is called optimized performance, right? You identify the bottlenecks in your and inefficiencies in your code, in your system, because in some consulting firm, okay, so just some consulting firm, they actually charge the client, right, based on the number of codes or the line of codes that they have. All right. So for example, if the manager told you that the code should be under 500 lines, right? That actually happens. Okay. So you need to practice a DevOps culture here. Okay. Some of the tools that we use is CloudWatch, right? So CloudWatch is it has the three pillars. Okay, the three pillars in monitoring is metrics, logs, and traces. All right. So when we say metric, when AWS CloudWatch, it can foster metrics for your available and application specific monitoring. And for example, the metrics is higher than anticipated, right? They are, for example, there is a 90% surge in your application. Amazon CloudWatch can alarm you, right, and automate those kind of action when it reaches 90% metric. Okay, should we minimize the server? Should we scale the server, etc., etc.? All right. So that is why we need monitoring tools. Okay, again, in monitoring tools, it prevents the outages. Okay, so by the time that your application peaks 70%, but the threshold of your application is 75%. Okay, so you only have 5% allowance before your application to erupt, right? So observability in your application is one of the best practices a DevOps can have, right? Most often in the traditional IT, this is the responsibility of disaster response management. Okay, they prevent that they prevent outages, but as DevOps, this is one of your shared responsibility. Okay, so back then, this happens. So before DevOps, it works on my machine. Now in DevOps, right, it works on my container. All right, but before then, the traditional IT back then, there's a huge problem, right? That when we deploy our application, for example, a web developer, when they deploy an application, they do not really care if this application is going to work in other end users or not. Especially, they do not have the shared responsibility mindset that that the application that they develop is going to work in other devices, or is it going to work in other operating systems, right? They do not have that kind of stress. But in DevOps, you have that. That is why we have containerization in our application. Okay, can someone read me what containerization is? All right, I guess Shakun.
So am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Containerization Containers are essential in DevOps because they enable fast, scalable, and consistent deployments across different environments. They solve many challenges of traditional software deployments such as dependency conflicts, inconsistent environments, and inefficient resource usage. The main things are portability, scalability and efficiency, fast deployment and continuous integration and deployment integration, consistency and dependency management, and finally security and isolation.
All right. So what is your understanding containerization?
So different developers develop their code in different languages and different architectures.
Mm.
These code actually clash with each other
Mm.
when they're deployed
Yes,
in different environment.
that's the term.
Like
Mm.
if you take example, Java has a dedicated JVM for this to deal with
Mm.
these problems.
Yes, they
So
have
if you
different
the
machine,
image you
right?
showed in the PPT itself, a ship carrying large amount of containers. These containers can be carried via ships, trains, or even via road. So the containers are the different codes, and the
Mm.
ship is the container, like the whole thing carrying it. This is
All
my
right.
understanding.
So that's really a nice opinion, Second. Okay, so it prevents clashes, right? Can you put your email back in the comment section? How about Sai Siva? Do you have any thoughts, remarks about what containerization is?
Yeah. Basically, what container is it? Like, if we have to store something, or for example, if we have to pour water into a bottle, it takes the shape of the container. So basically, we have to store something. Why we are doing is that, as the as the before person said, we should not prevent clashes. The code should not mix and match, and it should be compatible in whatever OS, or whatever compiler, or whatever we platform we choose. The
Mm.
code, it has to run in any, each and every platform, right? So to ensure that, maybe I'm not 100% right, but
Uh-huh.
apart, it's yeah, as I said, it should be deployed in each and every, or it should be cross platform, right? So to
Yeah,
ensure
yeah, yeah.
that we perform containerization, and we have tools like Docker, so and
All
so.
right. Can you put your name? Can you put your email
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the?
yeah,
All
sure.
right. Thank you for that, Sai. So I like the analogy that continue like the water analogy, right? So regardless of the size of the cup, regardless of the color of the cup, right? Water should be put and contained regardless of the sizes, the color, or the materials of your cup. All right. So that's a very powerful analogy because whatever cup or whatever bottle that we drink into, we can drink water, right? So that is the portability um, principle or practices in this in DevOps. Okay, so containerization is very important because they enable scalable and consistent deployments across different environments. Okay, because portability, right, and containers run consistent across different environments, either local, either in the test or staging or in the production already. This runs very consistent. All right. So this eliminates this one. It works on my machine. All right. And for example, one of the example of portability and containerization is that a containerized app runs the same on Windows, on Macintosh, Linux, and other cloud platforms. So for example, if I have an application or I have a website, right, or or I have a game application, I'm not going to worry anymore the compatibility of my application to different end users. So I do not think of the hardware specification anymore in containerization, right? Because in SDLC, right, if you're going back again, if we're going to define the SDLC of the waterfall, right? We 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 study even the system requirements, right? The software requirements. right? It should be in this it should be in this operating system. It should have this kind of feature in their hardware, etc., etc., etc. All right, but in containerization, right, under the DevOps practices, right, containerization is a DevOps practices. You do not need to worry anymore about the platform of your end users, but because it provides portability now, and it's very scalable and efficient because containers are lightweighted compared to virtual machines, right? Just like one of the attendees said, right? Java is run in virtual machines. Okay, that's why we have JVM. Okay, and it's really those kind of application runs on that programming language, right? It's really big. Okay, and it's not efficient. Remember, in practicing DevOps, we want our application as optimized as possible. So why do we need to optimization? Because it has faster scaling and resources efficiency using certain orchestration tools, right? And of course, the fast deployment and CI/CD integration. When we do containerization, when we're not going to think of our end users about their hardware specification anymore, we can easily integrate updates and updates whenever we want. All right. So a Dockerized application can be built, tested, and deployed in a seamless CI/CD workflow. All right. This is the workflow that we're talking about. Okay, this one. Right. We're not going to think anymore about the specification, but we're thinking or practicing or coding, right, based on optimization of our languages and our code. Okay, and then last but aside from the consistency and dependency, right, most application, most of them, that's they do not have compatibility in a certain hardware, right, or in a certain end users, because a Python application inside the container might the containers package dependencies and configuration together. This ensures the applications runs in the same way in dev, test, and production. All right. So if even if your end users doesn't have the dependencies on your application, it should run because inside the container it includes all the corrected version and libraries already of your languages. Okay. So aside from that, security and isolation. All right. So most often, one of my mentors told me that if you're going to practice ethical hacking, you should practice in a containerized and isolated environment. So that's the ethical usage of containerization as well on hacking. And the Docker and Kubernetes is one of the most powerful tools out there. Okay, that you can use. All right. So the Docker used for containerizing application and packaging all the application and dependencies, right? Literally, they are the platform. All right. So Docker makes application portable. All right, and we have here as well the container Kubernetes. So when we say Kubernetes, this is used for orchestrating different containers or multiple containers. Because in the real world out there, the production world, we have different containers in each application and in system, right? Because we containerize application or system because we want to ensure consistency, right? But in the real world, right, there are a lot of multiple containers out there that needs orchestration. When we say orchestration, this is how we're going to scale out or scale in our containers. So either we remove certain application or we add. for more computing resources. So the how container tools, these Docker and Kubernetes works, all right. Kubernetes manage them at scale, while container, right, while Docker manage the application to become more portable. And when it is portable, right, how many users are trying to access this application? That's where Kubernetes comes. If we need to scale in our system, all right. So in the modern DevOps, the teams rely on containerization heavily, right, for faster and more reliable software delivery. All right. Most often, the ones that use this, the ones that practices this kind of deployment, right, in Docker and Kubernetes, is from what I've heard, is the financial sectors, right? So, for example, if you're the financial sector, there's a systems. Not all people has the high end phones, right? And not all people has the low end phones. When we say low end, this isn't a flagship phone. Some phones are outdated already. It has outdated system. It has outdated Android version, right? Because we have different demographics in our society, right? So they use in if they're going to deploy their product, right, for transaction usage, they think of their users, the accessibility. That is where DevOps comes in. And not just the accessibility, right? But they value the feedback of their users. Okay? So for this one, for the career and industry trends, I think this is the third last slide that I have. Right? There is an evolution of profession in the IT field. All right. So you have heard DevOps. You might have heard DevSecOps. You might have served DevSec MLOps. And sooner or later, there will be a lot of combined and bridges and different industries and professions out there. Okay, so until we reach the Triceratops now, right? So, in your opinion, is DevOps is just a hype or a real trend? Do you think this is just this isn't going to last, or we really believe that DevOps is a real technology, it's a real practice? Okay, we only have two. All right, okay. Can we have Shakun?
So it is a real technology because, as you said in the beginning of this meeting, it takes about 50% of the time and money to deploy this software. So, like, if coding and developing software is one half, I believe like deploying and making it accessible to the consumers and the end users is also the important aspect of that. So, in the future years, if the application, like the web development and the application development industry grows, DevOps also grows along with it.
So Shakun said it's a real trend. All right. All right. Thank you, Shakun. Can you put your email
Sure,
on the? All right. Thank you. How about there's someone else? Is okay. Last from Sai.
I think that like besides DevOps being a technology, I think that it's like a daily kind of practice because like as we just like code or we just like solve a problem by giving some like code or like we build a web app or some website. So DevOps is like it should be like as we know that like development side is like just coding and the other things involving operation is like it like involves like security maintenance and others. So if we are building an application, we have to like consistently keep on monitoring. I think that DevOps is as you said, DevOps is a culture, right? besides being a culture, we are like practicing in day to day life. It's not like a
Yeah.
new thing we just like encounter, right? So, like I'll not be telling that it will be like further growing and it's a like very great technology. I'll not be telling. It's like the thing we use in our day to day life, right? So it's inevitable. When we make an application, obviously we have to check for its consistency or like we have to maintain it. So besides
Yes.
being a technology, it's like a vital role in software development. That is all I think.
All right. Thank you, Sai. Can you put your email on the comment section?
Yeah.
And we have a new name here. Uh, SK SK. Okay, I'll just call you SK. SK.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you're audible.
As Sai said, DevOps is a day-to-day thing, sir. According to me, also, it is a real trend actually because it has transformed the software development and IT operation. It scalable. It increases the scalability and also failure rate is reduced in IT operations, sir, because of DevOps only, and also including these infrastructure in an IT company cost is greatly saved, and
Mm.
also there is a high demand in job opportunity for people with DevOps operations, sir.
Yes, precisely. And in the trends right now, right? DevOps as well is one of the top paying profession. Not because of just hype, because it's really a combination of different practices, right? So it's a really a hard skill, and it combines. It's a combination of both soft skill and hard skill. When we say hard skill, these are the technological skills required in your profession. All right. So thank you, SK. You may put your email on the
Thank
comment
you, sir.
section.
Thank you.
All right. I think Prajwal. I think I haven't. Yeah, I haven't. Did I call you already?
Yeah, sir, you called me.
Oh yeah, but okay. So one last participation
Yes,
for this
sir.
slide.
Actually, career and industry trends in DevOps are evolving rapidly as a business increasingly adopt cloud
Yes.
automation and continuously delivery practice. Cloud. Actually, it's incredible adoption of DevOps practices, rise of DevOps, cloud native development. I think, sir.
All right. Thank you for that, Prajwal. You may put your email again to
Yes, sir.
um
I will.
yeah,
Sure.
you to increment your course access. All right. So based on what they said, right, and as and Prajwal as well, they said that there's an increase of business market. Therefore, there is an increase in the DevOps demand. All right. So it's actually both a hype and a real trend. It's not just one. Okay, because the hype affect the market. All right. The hype affects as well the statistics on how employers going to talent scope. All right. So it's a both a hype and a real trend. It's a real technology. It's a real culture. At the same time, it's a hype because maybe 20 years from now, the market will, will settle down, right? But it doesn't mean it isn't a real trend. Okay, or sooner or later it will become a hype, right? And that affects as well our job market as a society. Okay, so aside from that, okay, you can actually learn DevOps as well in Tutorials Dojo for free. These are all for free. Okay, we have Play Cloud Lab application. I was supposed to have a 5 minutes demo of some of the Play Cloud here, but unfortunately the interactive lab that I was supposed to demo isn't available yet. And I think I'm not allowed to say that as well because of some NDA, right? So, but this one, these are free to play. right? Aside from the courses that the free courses, again, for those who answered in the comment section for you. All right, so you can visit Tutorials Dojo to play this very. These are democratized. When we say democratized, everyone should be able to access it. Okay, because we as in the Tutorials Dojo as well, I really talk to my boss, right? That if we really want to make students, upskill, they might not have the financial resources, but they have already the tool. These are your laptops, right? Your devices. You just need to grab these opportunities. Okay, and all right, I'm just going to copy all the responses that you have. So I think that finished my talk. All right, if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, this is my LinkedIn, and most often students as well, they try to schedule a call with me, right? Because I'm not really a conversational guy. I really can't hold conversation, but feel free to send me a message if you have any question, right? And if I feel like that the question or the answer shouldn't be in text or shouldn't be in chat, you can schedule a call. All right, thank you, and I think that ends my presentation. Diana.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'd
Mm.
want Madhusmita, sorry, Namrita to give the vote of thanks. And before that, I request everybody to fill out the feedback form. Namrita will give instructions on that. And for further details and for further attending of events, please follow the AWS Cloud Club St. Joseph College of Engineering's meetup so that you attend a lot of more events like this. So, Namrita, you can take over.
Yes, Dianaka. Guys, like before, just fill out this feedback form. Everyone has to fill out. I'm sending it in the chat box. And also the QR code, I'll show you. I'll share the screen.
Diana, I will send you a message on LinkedIn. All right, later.
Yeah, sure, Aziz. Thank you a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Should I stay here or I
Uh,
don't know how the protocol works. Sorry, don't worry. Sorry.
yes, okay.
No, Namrita will
Yeah.
conclude with a word of thanks and then we
Mm.
can conclude the session.
All right.
Like,
Okay.
Dianaka, is my
Yeah.
screen seen? The QR code?
Uh, I'm sorry, I'm not able to see your screen.
Okay. Just a second. Now, is it visible?
No, it's not visible.
No, it's not. Namrata, you can just send it in the chat box and guide them how to fill the feedback, and you can proceed with your vote of thanks because we can't wait, keep them waiting, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Guys, the link I have sent in the chat box. Over there, the name of your club and the name of the event should be the same. Like for the name of your club, like you have to put AWS Cloud Club St. Joseph College of Engineering, and the name of the event should be DevOps Fundamentals on AWS. Make sure it's the same for everything. Like it should be same for the both, and then fill out the form and click the submit button. And with that, we conclude our session. And thank you, sir, as we approach to the end of this insightful and enriching session. It's my honor to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks on behalf of AWS community. This event would not have been possible without the support and contribution of many individuals and teams. I would like to thank Mr. Guang for his time, knowledge, and his valuable insights today. Thank you, sir, for your presentations has given us much to reflect upon and have undoubtedly inspired us to push the boundaries of innovation. A big thank you to our community members and our cloud captains, Dhyana Suresh and Mohana Priya, for the tireless efforts for organizing this event. Finally, I would like to thank all the participants for your active involvement, engaging questions, and enthusiasm throughout the event. Your presence today has made the event truly special. Let's continue to build on knowledge we have gained and work towards a brighter future. Thank you all once again, and we look forward to seeing you again at our future events. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, team. All right. I'll check the link in. I think some of you sent already your connect. All right. Bye bye.
Thank you so much,
Bye.
sir.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.